All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. Now listen to this. Those January incidents with Clark, the grab caught on tape earlier, and those heated sideline moments, hold up, they're not just on the head coach alone. What you're really seeing is a deeper coaching staff culture that's been allowed to grow unchecked. And man, nobody above has publicly stepped in to shut it down. And that right there, that's not just a coaching issue, that's front office accountability, plain and simple. Because when you look at Cox, Crossoff, and ownership above them, you won't believe this. The entire season's paper trail points right back to them, since every coaching choice, assistant dynamic, reporting breakdown, rotation strategy, and player development plan all stem from hiring decisions and oversight at that top level. At the end of the day, the coaching staff is just a reflection of the organization's mindset. And that mindset, yeah, that falls directly on the people who hired this staff and kept them in place while all of this kept piling up throughout the season.
She's done with Stephanie White. Look at this here. This is a player that is mentally done. Stephanie White, congratulations. You have mentally defeated Caitlin Clark. She's done. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. As always, this thing is over. I'm letting it be known once again. I'm rooting for Caitlin Clark 100%.
The clip of Clark on the bench with her head down, listen to this. That's not being broken down as some deep psychological diagnosis. Body language isn't some exact science, and any real analysis knows better than to treat one quick visual like it tells the full story of what an athlete is feeling inside. But what that footage does show, clearly and without reaching, is a noticeable shift away from the locked-in competitive energy Clark had been showing earlier in the season. And when you line up her bench presence during games where the team had rhythm and momentum versus what we're seeing here, man, that difference is real, it's visible, and it's pointing somewhere. It's telling us something changed. Now, the exact reason behind that, that's for Clark to speak on if she ever decides to. But one thing you can't deny, the contrast itself is right there on tape, plain as day.
This whole debacle with Stephanie White crashing out on her and benching her. Take a look at this interaction between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston.
And
they're whispering things to each other. This is after the crash out. This is after all of that. You see it. Caitlin Clark's like, yo, we gotta get this idiot the hell out of here. We gotta get this idiot out of here. Aaliyah, I will not be signing my epic deal.
The bench moment between Clark and Boston, kept low, shielded from cameras, happened right after that sideline situation. Yeah, it's documented, but hold up. It's not something you can break down word for word. Responsible analysis doesn't play guessing games trying to recreate private conversations between players. What the footage does show, though, is that two of the franchise's key pieces made a deliberate move to communicate privately in the middle of a tense, emotional moment. And man, the fact that it happened right then and there, that alone says something. That's a signal you can't ignore. It tells you something was going on, but the details of that exchange, that belongs to them, period. Now, what is open for discussion and fully on the table is the actual game data, the decisions, the rotations, everything that shaped the outcome. And this is where things get interesting, because a report from Jason Whitlock, listen closely, completely shifts how we should be looking at those rotation choices, and it deserves a real breakdown.
Stephanie White rotated her players like they were playing 3 games in 4 nights. It was actually Portland playing its 3rd game in 4 nights. Stephanie White played 11 players in the first quarter. Wrong coach. Fire that bozo. Fire that bozo. There is no reason to play 11 different players in 1 quarter. This lady wants to be the smartest person in the room. That's the dangerous person to me. I never want to, I don't feel like I'm the smartest person in the room. I damn sure.
Whitlock pointed out something that your typical box score breakdown completely glossed over. The Portland Fire were coming into this game playing their 3rd matchup in 4 nights. Indiana, they weren't dealing with that at all. So right there, you've got a clear fatigue gap between the two teams heading into Saturday, and man, that matters.
Portland's roster was carrying real physical wear and tear, the kind sports science has been telling us for years will impact performance, especially late in games when legs start to go. And in that situation, hold up, Stephanie White running 11 different players in just the first quarter hits way different when you actually think about the context. Because if your opponent is on the back end of a brutal stretch and you're the fresher team, the smart move is simple. Lean on your best lineups, stay consistent, and force those tired legs to keep defending the same system over and over until they break. But going 11 deep that early, that does the exact opposite. Instead, you're giving a fatigued team constant changes, new matchups, new looks, new coverages, which actually makes life easier for them instead of harder. You're lowering both the mental and physical strain because they never have to lock in against one steady offensive rhythm. And that right there, that flip in strategy, is the deeper issue behind the substitution patterns Whitlock was highlighting. So when you see that 6:30 mark with Clark and Boston both getting pulled, don't just see it as a momentum killer. It's part of a bigger rotation philosophy that in this specific game was completely backwards based on what the opponent was dealing with physically. And the data Chloe Peterson put together, yeah, it makes the impact of that decision crystal clear.
Right on Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark subbed at 6:30 mark of the first, after which Portland went on a 13-2 run. Caitlin Clark had 2 points, 3 assists, and a rebound in the first 2.5 minutes of this game and then was subbed out. They were up 8-4. The Portland Fire then went on a 13-2 run. Caitlin Clark got back in the game. It was 17-10. And the game turned into an absolute free fall from there. From the second Caitlin Clark got subbed out, this game
Clark comes in hot. 2 points, 3 assists, and a rebound in just the first 2.5 minutes. Portland is already looking shaky, forced to call a timeout. Then hold up, the double substitution hits at the 6:30 mark? Clark and Boston both off the floor. And right after that, a 13-2 run by Portland. Next thing you know, it's a 17-10 deficit by the time Clark checks back in. That's an 11-point swing. And man, that didn't just happen randomly. That was created directly by rotation decisions from the coaching staff. And remember, this is against a team playing its third game in 4 nights, a team that should have been the one running out of energy, not gaining momentum. So when White steps up and calls that move a standard substitution pattern, listen, that argument already doesn't hold up on its own, and it completely falls apart when you factor in the fatigue angle Whitlock's exposed. Now, yeah, aggressive rotations sometimes get justified under load management, saving your players over a long season. But applying that logic here, that flips the entire competitive advantage on its head when your opponent is already more exhausted than you. You don't ease up on your own players when the schedule is already doing that to the other team. You press the issue.
Sports, which was the Caitlin Clark show. Clark show, baby! They ruined it. Indiana Fever were becoming America's team. Must-see television. No question about it. They have ruined it. It's over, guys. Take a look at this. These three have completely destroyed the most exciting basketball team we've ever seen. That's Amber Cox, Kelly Krauskopf, and Stephanie White. They have ruined this thing. It's over.
The pattern this season has put on tape, from the clipboard moments to those tense sideline exchanges involving White in January, the reporting issues, the mixed-up press conference narratives, and even the rotation calls that got exposed immediately by game results across multiple matchups, has now stacked up to the point where every new game isn't telling a new story, it's just adding receipts. The direction of this organization? Man, it's not confusing at all. It's clear, it's documented, and it's leading to real, measurable consequences on the court. Now here's what people aren't talking about enough, the assistant coaching situation, because it's been flying under the radar in this whole accountability discussion. When the head coach's sideline behavior toward the franchise player has been caught on camera over and over again, you can't ignore the fact that the assistants are part of that same environment. January's interactions with Clark, that physical grab caught earlier, those sideline clashes, girl, that's not just one person's behavior. That's a reflection of a coaching culture that's been allowed to grow unchecked and hasn't been publicly addressed by anyone higher up. And that right there, that's not just on the head coach, that's a front office problem too. So when you talk about accountability, you've got to look at Cox, Krauskopf, and ownership above them, because the season's receipts make it urgent. Every coaching decision, every assistant dynamic, every reporting issue, Every rotation choice and even the player development strategy all trace back to hiring calls and oversight decisions made at the top. The coaching staff is simply the visible product of what the organization believes, and that belief system, it falls directly on the people who hired this staff and chose to keep it in place while all this evidence kept piling up.
Clark should be looking to move on. I think Caitlin Clark deserves better. Aaron Kane, do your damn job. Where the fuck are you at? Where are you? Where are you? Are you going to do something, or are you going to sit here and act like you don't see this crap that's going on? Do you not see what's going on right now? Look at what they have done to the biggest star in the sport. We watch every other team. We watch the Dallas Wings lean into Paige Beckers and prop her up. We watch all these other teams lean into their stars and prop.
Clark's representation, her agent Aaron Kane, is now operating with a fully built, on-record institutional trail. The leverage in Clark's contract situation? Hold up, it's been obvious ever since her stance on the extension went public. She hasn't locked anything in. Meanwhile, the organization keeps adding to the documented pattern that this channel has been calling out. And those two realities? Yeah, they're directly connected in a way that top-tier agents are trained to capitalize on. Now, when you stack this up against how other franchises are handling their generational talent, it hits different. Dallas, especially with Paige Buchers, stands out as the clearest current comparison, not for drama, but as a straight-up organizational benchmark. The teams that are actually building long-term contenders around young superstars are making deliberate, trackable decisions, systems designed around what their star does best, coaching communication that builds confidence instead of slowly breaking it down, public messaging that lifts the player instead of spreading out her shine. And all of those moves, they create a very specific bond between player and franchise. But what are we seeing from the Indiana Fever's 2026 season? Man, that's producing a completely different type of relationship. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.